She worked all day, she worked all night, she worked alone, she worked with friends, with family. And yet, with all that work, she didn't finish this quilt. Why? Hi, I'm Colleen, and I travel to small towns. I find fun and I embrace the adventure. Today, I discuss my encounter in the resource room of the International Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska. Wandering through the museum, I came across a volunteer quilting a top from the museum's collection, and an interesting conversation ensued. The story of the quilt is creativity, beauty, and resourcefulness. Non quilters may not see it, but there's a lot of love, creativity, and math in this quilt. It dates to the second half of the 19th century, about the time Nebraska became a state, when just 123,000 people resided in the state, most of them in Omaha, 16,000 in Omaha, and just 2,500 in Lincoln. Respectable, but I have to wonder about her access to fabric if she lived anywhere but Omaha, Nebraska. Maybe this was a wedding gift for a couple that never married. Maybe it was for the bed she shared with her husband and something tragic happened. We don't know. We won't ever know. I just assume it was for a heartbreaking reason. What is known is she never completed this beautiful quilt top. This quilt top required her to gather enough fabric for scrappy patchwork blocks and for the floral applique blocks. She needed to do math to ensure there were enough of each block style to make this quilt. She determined if there was enough red fabric to be placed in the patchwork squares and be featured as flowers in the applique block. She had to determine the amount of green fabric needed to serve as stems and leaves. And finally, how much cream fabric for the applique blocks. I assume the quilt maker was female. That fabric would have been expensive and difficult to obtain if you didn't live in Omaha. And I assume that she lived in Nebraska. Going to the expense of creating a quilt top but not finishing it is a luxury, and I'm not certain such a luxury could have easily been afforded at that time. So, we don't know who made the quilt top, who it was for, why it was created, why it wasn't finished, when it was made, other than a general idea, or where it was created. So, conjecture is going to frame my story. Upon examining the quilt, you will see, hidden in plain sight, that she experienced fabric shortages. And so she used fabric, both new and used, that she had available and created her quilt. While she had access to enough fabric to finish the quilt, she didn't appear to have an abundance of fabric, or she was extremely frugal. Frugality shows she obtained enough red, cream, and green fabric for the applique blocks, but not enough for that double Irish chain if she wanted to do it in red. And those fabric flaws being worked into the flowers, is that a design decision or frugality? There are tiny seam allowances, sometimes only an eighth of an inch, nearly non existent. The printing flaws of the red fabric, some patchwork squares are actually pieced to form a 1.5 inch square, and at least one cream block is pieced. There is definitely frugality in this. Looking at the stitches for the patchwork blocks, this woman ran 6, 8, 10 stitches per inch. With the applique blocks, there's a consistent tight stitch throughout the straight and curved pieces of the design. The quilt isn't perfect, but I find the imperfections to be charming and endearing. And I wonder about this woman, this anonymous woman, who spent hours making a quilt, obviously from love, and yet she never finished it. And I wonder about her life. It saddens me to think that this woman, but not her work, that this woman is lost to history, that her story is lost to history. And it just makes me sad. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you staying to the very end, and I wish you the best day. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and have a great day.